the Digging Up Bones Podcast. The only podcast digging up classic country bones. Thank you for listening to this first episode of the Digging Up Bones Podcast. We're going to call this one here a test show because we're just testing things out. And I want to apologize up front if the audio quality isn't the best it could be. We're a new podcast. As we grow, the sound quality will get better, I promise you. Let's start this podcast by going around the table and see who we all are. My name's Darren, and again, I want to thank you for listening. Let's go around the table to meet the other guys.
I'm Brett.
I'm Keenan.
Okay, and we're going to just talk country. We're going to talk old country. We call it Digging Up Bones because we're going to be digging up some of that old country that you love. And what we're going to do is talk about a top 10 list of country music, and I guess we'll just get right to it. Okay.
I'll throw out my number 10 out there.
Okay, go ahead.
For me, would probably be the Chiseled and Stone album of Vern Gosdin.
Ooh, you got me on that one.
Big fan of that one being in the top 10.
I love Vern Gosdin.
Came out in about 1988.
The Voice.
Oh, absolutely. And here's the thing on this album. Like, every song on it had either Vern Gosdin, Dean Dillon, Hank Cochran, or Buddy Cannon writing the lyrics to them.
Really?
So you're automatically, those are big time songwriters. Those are country music songwriters. Basically, you look at that, it's grown up music is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, that Chisel and Stone, just that song alone was, I think it won Single of the Year that year, and that's a great written song.
It did.
It's man, what a heart touching song. It hits home with a lot of people, man, for sure. It'll tear you up, that's for sure. I love that one.
I can't imagine the number of times I was riding in my dad's truck and we had Set 'Em Up Joe playing over the speakers when I was younger.
Is that on that album also?
That is.
Absolutely.
That is on the album.
I have it on cassette, and I haven't listened to it in years. And I forgot about that one.
Do You Believe Me Now? And Who You Gonna Blame It On This Time? Those are all on there.
That's a good.
That's a good one.
I'm gonna throw that out there as number 10. It's my number 10.
You don't know about lonely till it's chiseled in stone.
Brent, you want to do your 10?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and roll off my number 10. He just barely made the top 10. I was kind of teetering on this, and I love Mark Chestnut, man. I don't know how I threw him in. I threw him in here with my top 10. I had some greats in my top 10, but the album I got number 10 for me is Too Cold at Home. There was Too Cold at Home was a pretty solid song in general to me. If I think of Mark Chestnut, I think of that song in general. And he also had one of Keith Whitley. Keith Whitley covered a song earlier. This one was after on his album when he passed away that went out. I Wonder If You Think of Me. It was Brother Jukebox. That song that Mark Chestnut did is on that album as well. And also, if you don't know this, Friends in Low Places is on that album.
It was on there before Garth did it. Absolutely.
Before Garth did it, yes sir, that is correct. It was on it before Garth did it, and he does a great job with it, man. I love that.
Didn't that album have the song that Waylon also did, Broken Promised Land?
Yes, that's on there.
I think that's correct.
I think it had the Broken Promised Land song.
Yes, it did.
Like that one.
That's probably my favorite.
Waylon redid that song. I don't know if Waylon did it before or after Mark Chestnut, but he sure did it.
Yeah, I think that's
correct.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite one on that album. That song there. That's a really good written song. I don't know who wrote it, but it's really good.
I can't tell you who wrote that one.
I mean, neither.
Nah, I should have looked all that up because that's actually on my list.
Too hot for golf and too cold at home.
Okay, well, I'll go 10 because y'all won't have anything to say about it because no one has listened to this album. So I don't know. This one y'all gonna probably. I'll be very shocked if anyone out there has this or knows it. The name of the album is Hard Times on Easy Street by David Lynn Jones.
Not clueless, buddy. Clueless.
It's a very good album. He had one hit off the album called Bonnie Jean, Little Sister, about a truck driver song. He also wrote the song Living in the Promised Land that Willie Nelson did. That's on the album. He recorded it. But it's a shame he had the one song. He's got a duet on the album with Waylon. It's a very good song there too. He released it. It kind of tanked, but Bonnie Jean did probably top 10. But then I don't know. He's done some songwriting, and he did a second album that just wasn't as good. But growing up, I think it came out probably around 87, 88, and I wore that tape out till it almost broke. And like I said, I knew I kind of wanted to. I almost didn't put it on the list, but because I knew nobody knew it, and I said, well, hey, we'll just have fun and throw it on here because I can't imagine growing
when
up.
you said Little Sister, I was thinking of Dwight Yoakam. I mean,
No, yeah,
that's
it's in fact, if y'all hear it, y'all probably I've heard that because it's
right.
the title kind of doesn't catch you till you hear it.
Right.
But I hardly ever hear that song even on the radio anymore. But
Though, don't apologize for putting it on the list. I mean,
No,
it's
most
important.
definitely. Hey, man,
I think it's important
buddy,
that
roll with it.
you put down the albums that you liked and you enjoyed, and that's what we're all here for. I'm not trying to compose the greatest albums of all time. That's a different set of criteria than my favorite albums of all time. So
yeah, and I was
I'm
trying
not
to,
gonna list with my favorites.
and I was trying to throw something out there that maybe somebody can say, hey, I don't know what that is. Let me go check it out.
Peterbilt, a truck for a man to drive. That's a pretty good living, but it ain't no life. For a farmer's daughter or a drunk man's wife. Peterbilt, a truck for a man to drive.
And here's the thing: I didn't start getting into albums probably till the mid '80s, and I knew a few from the '70s, but there's no doubt that Ray Price made some phenomenal studio albums. I don't own any Ray Price albums. I own probably 50 Ray Price songs, but I don't own any Ray Price studio albums, and so he's not going to make my list, even though I know that he's got some great stuff out there.
That's like I was telling Brent. I said, I think I like some of the 50s and 60s music. I know the singles and the artists, but I don't know their albums. And I need to go. Like I love Buck Owens, but I can't sit down and tell you his best album, which is sad.
I agree.
There's so many of them collabs as well too. He's got, he's got Together Again on this album, Together Again on this album, and
right.
Tiger by Tail on this album. It's just all.
And then he had an album called Together Again. I don't know if it was a collaboration album or not, but it came out 45, 50 years ago.
Right.
Well, it came out probably 50 years ago at least.
And I've got 10 or 15 Buck Owens LPs, but I can't tell you. There's a song here and there. You know what I mean?
It's so much easier when you want to get a group of good country songs, especially if you're trying to go way back, that you get a smorgasbord. You grab one of the Essential albums or Filter series or box set.
That's why they
so much easier.
And this is kind of off topic, but one thing I like that late 80s, I grew up with Dwight Yoakam. I would never listen. I thought Buck Owens was the goofy guy on Hee Haw. And if it wasn't for Dwight Yoakam giving me Buck Owens.
With his bibs on backwards.
Yeah.
I had no idea he did the Streets of Bakersfield before Dwight Yoakam. I was like, when I heard that song, I said, I think of Streets of Bakersfield, I think of Dwight Yoakam and it's Buck Owens. But I was like, well, I digged into it deeper, and Buck Owens, he's Bakersfield sound.
Story I heard was that the guy who wrote it was Homer Joy, and Homer Joy was from Bakersfield and just hounded Buck for years to do my song. This is a great song for you. And Buck finally said, "By golly, I guess I will," and he did it. Nothing really came of it. Then Dwight picked it up and said, "Let's just take this thing to another level."
Right.
So.
And then Dwight did a Ray Price song, "Heartache by the Number," so that got me into Ray Price. Randy Travis, I saw him live do a Lefty Frizzell song, and I went to look up. I went and bought a Lefty Frizzell.
Which Lefty Frizzell song?
She's Gone, Gone, Gone.
Really? I love the Lefty, man. Lefty
I love Lefty. And but like today's artists, they never go back to them old things and introduce people.
No, they don't.
So that's what I really love, because they open my eyes to the old stuff. Okay, number 9. I guess we'll go back to Ken.
Let's see. What do I have at number 9 here? I have this is a newer album, and I don't listen to a lot of newer albums, but I bought this one. This is the first album probably in 10 years I bought the whole thing, and that was Better Modern Sounds and Country Music by,
there you go. That was
Sturgill Simpson.
It was very close from getting on my list. Yeah,
his second album. It was the second album out, put out like 2014. I saw Simpson on the Marty Stewart Show, and he did Long White Line and Life of Sin. I thought, man, that guy put out 2 really good songs in one episode, and I'd never heard of it. Went and kind of looked up his music a little bit, started listening to it, called a buddy of mine who listens to a lot of country music, and he said, he said, you need to pick up that album. And I did, and I'm telling you, there's not a bad song on it. Like,
Is that the album with the ships on it, correct?
No, this is the album with just his face on it.
With just his face on it.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
The cover of the album kind of looks like Willie Nelson's face on the Red-Headed Stranger.
On the Red-Headed Stranger.
Yeah. Kind of scribbled in there a little bit and a little dusty, so to speak. But yeah, he. I don't know if how many people out there who listen to this kind of music like Sturgill Simpson, but he really does. He does a good job, and he's bringing it back, man. He's one of them. He's one of them trying to bring traditional back. I love it. There's a little underground revolution going on right now, and it's got the like we mentioned earlier, Turnpike Troubadours and Margot Price and Cody Jinks and Stapleton and Johnson, And all those guys and ladies, they're doing something that's a little bit different, and they're starting to sell some albums, and people are starting to pay attention.
Right, most definitely. I'm not much. I haven't heard much Margot Price and stuff. I know some of you guys like her.
Yeah, she's really good.
I mean, she's awesome. Apparently, I haven't dug into her music. I need to do that, obviously.
Yeah, Sturgill Simpson, I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast, and I was already tuned out of country music, and he's like, we're going to bring this country guy on. I was like, great, some pop country. And then he sung a song live on there, and it just blew me away. And I said, man, I got to. And the thing is, when he was on Joe Rogan's podcast that next week, he was in town, Sturgill Simpson was, and sold out, and I didn't even know who he was, and I missed it. I saw him in Atlanta this summer, but I wish I saw him, back during that second album when he was still building, when the crowds were smaller.
Even his first album had a even more traditional sound than the Meta Modern album that I just mentioned. His first album was very, very much a throwback. Had no Willie Nelson cover on that one, and just did some really good stuff.
Don't waste your mind on nursery rhymes, fairy tales, blood and wine. There's turtles on the way down the line.
Brent, you want to do your 9?
We're going my number 9. All right, I got George Strait himself, man. I got this one this was really hard. When you guys said top 10, when you guys said top 10 albums, man, I just trying to think of all the music that influenced me, and that I love near and dear to my heart. And man, that's tough to determine, but it was fun. I had fun with it, and my number 9 is "Chill of an Early Fall" by George Strait. I like "Chill of an Early Fall." I like the song with the cover album. I love that. It's got "You Know Me Better Than That." It's not one of. It's a good album, obviously one of his early ones, obviously. But I just like that. I like that one, man. I can sit there and listen to it all day long. I think it's like Milk Cow Blues or something. Good.
Oh, is that on there? I know that one. Yeah.
Yeah. It's on there as well. I love the album, man. I can sit there and listen to it hours on end.
I tried my best to put a George Strait on my list, and I couldn't decide which was good because he has so many good ones, and I just can't do it.
Oceanfront Property on there, but I was like,
yeah,
man, I love that one, but or the Fireman, that would have been a good one too. It was hard, dude. That was really hard.
Yeah, I had one called Number 7. I guess it was his 7th album. I loved that one growing up, and I had that Oceanfront Property, and I said I can't decide, so I just left them all.
Yeah, that was tough for me, dude. I was between a rock and a hard place on that.
Yeah,
I was the same way. I'm kind of like you. I'd echo that. I really wanted to put a George Strait album on there, and I just couldn't. It's hard to pick one and exclude the others. They're all just equally solid. It's just
they are most definitely.
And what other artist has been around since 80, 81? That still,
yep.
He had the longest career, man, that I can think of.
And George didn't just put out some good singles. George would put out good albums. And I mentioned on Twitter a while back that if you took the albums he didn't release, you could still make a Hall of Fame career out of his music.
Right.
Like he had so many songs that he never put out on the radio that people listened to over and over and over.
Yeah, if he was a rock star and he had that many number ones, he would be the biggest singer in the world. Mm-hmm. If he had, he's had a number one every year since every decade. He's had probably 10 number ones. So.
And his first 5 or 6 albums, there just wasn't anything bad on them. Like, if you remember, he put out a Greatest Hits album, and I think it was a year or two later, he put out Greatest Hits Volume 2, and basically just took the songs that went on his first one. And they were all from the same albums. He just had so many.
Nobody else could have done that.
He couldn't fit them on one record. Nobody can do that. No.
Nobody else can do that. Darren, I saw where you tweeted about the Digging Up on our page, Digging Up Bones podcast. You said, what was the first, CD or LP or whatever you bought with your own money? And my first one, I guess I was like, it's showing my age a little bit, I guess. But I was like 9 or 10 or something. And the first one I ever bought was the George Strait 50 number 1 hits on CD. There was like a double-sided CD. And
right.
3. I think it was like 2 of them.
I'll begin to feel the chill of an early fall.
Okay, my number 9 is one that I like it, but I haven't heard it in a long time, so it was very hard for me to talk about and almost didn't make my list. And that's Wanted by the Outlaws. You got Waylon, Willie. It's produced by, I think Chet Atkins was on the album also.
Great guitar player.
Jesse Coulter. Who's the other guy? I'm leaving off the other guy. It's going to kill me.
Tom Paul Glaser.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah.
He did. Tom Paul Glaser on that album did the Put Another Log on the Fire. So
that's right.
An anthem for your male chauvinists out
that's
there.
Right.
So.
Waylon, Waylon, Willie, Jesse, and Glacier. That's right. But it was a great album at the time. Like I said, it was. I was growing up. My dad had it, and my dad worked for a record company kind of in the 70s. It had a bunch of free records. It was just one I dug out of his pile of records, and I played it, and just could not, that whole summer that I played, I just couldn't stop listening to it.
My heroes have always been cowboys, and they still are, it seems.
And this one will be a little different. I got a feeling this doesn't show up on anybody's list, but I got to bring it up here, and it's the Home album by the Dixie Chicks. And let me tell you why.
Oh, really?
You guys may not like the Dixie Chicks, but if you've not listened to this album, let me tell you. First of all, before my wife and I got married, I go over to her apartment one time. And there's a bluegrass song playing over the radio. I said, "What are you listening to?" She said, "The Dixie Chicks." I said, "Really? I never listened to the Dixie Chicks." A couple minutes later, another song comes on. This is bluegrass acoustic album. I said, "What is that?" She said, "It's the same album." Now keep this in mind. Keep this in mind. If you had never heard this album, first of all, it was about the time they got in all the trouble for saying things they probably
George
needed
Bush.
to. Yeah, they probably should have backed away from at the time, but they did what they wanted to do. But anyway, the point is, I don't care how they vote in their elections. My point is, they put out 5 albums at the time. This was their 6th one. They decided to go acoustic, bluegrass, do a Fleetwood Mac cover on that. They did a song called "Long Time Gone," which basically they sang about
that was a good song.
That was a great song. They sang that song was from a male's perspective, and the best song on the album was the "Traveling Soldier" song, written by.
That was
Bruce
a great
Robinson.
song too.
Remember the "Traveling Soldier"?
I know
Yes.
that song.
They had a song on there called "Little Jack Slade." It was instrumental, and I'm telling you guys, if you put any kind of biases you might have, for them personally aside, you'll realize that might be one of the best country albums that you'll find out there.
That's interesting, man. I ain't got no. I mean, putting that aside, they make great music.
They did make great music. It was a shame things happened.
Besides their political standing and all that, me personally, I don't think that was very right of them. But I mean, that's just me. But that aside, it makes great music, man. The Home album, like you said, was good. "Traveling Soldier," man, that's a heart touching song, for some people, military families, stuff like that as well. And they make good music. I don't know which one plays the banjo with the bluegrass album, but she does a pretty dang good job. I think is that Natalie, the Natalie girl? Is that the lead singer? She plays the banjo.
Natalie Maines is the lead singer. I don't know who's the banjo. I think I want to say the Maines girl is the fiddling. That was the fiddling virtuoso. But
yeah, I can see what she looks like. Look at her name.
All that, man. That's pretty good. Cowboy Take Me Away. Pretty good song.
What was the Stevie Nicks song? I know
Landslide.
Landslide. That's right. I couldn't think of the name of it.
Landslide. That's correct.
Yeah, and it's very good. And I'm not going to judge you because Wide Open Spaces almost was on my top 10 list, and I left it off.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That was a good album.
It was.
Was that their first one?
Yeah, the first one, and that second one was pretty good. That Fly.
And that first one had "Tonight the Heartache's on Me," which I think is one of the best songs of that decade.
Yeah, that Wide Open Spaces got some really good, not just the singles. It's got some really good. I mean, it's country too.
Yeah, I like it, man. We throwing out some different opinions and views here today. I like it.
Now they sound tired, but they don't sound haggard. They got money, but they don't have cash. They got Junior, but they don't have Hank. I think the rest is a long time gone.
This one was hard for me too, and I hated to put two albums by the same artist on my top 10, but I had to do it. Number 8 for mine is "Whiskey Bent and Hellbound" by Hank.
Oh.
I think that's one of his best albums. It's got great songs, not just "Whiskey Bent and Hellbound." It's got "OD in Denver." It's got "The Conversation," obviously with Waylon on there. It's a great album, man. I've spent countless times listening to that one, late nights for sure.
I could do a whole top 10 list of nothing but Hank Jr. albums.
Oh, me too, man. I
agree 100%.
I've got a Hank on mine, and it was very hard to pick a Hank album to put on this list, but I put one on it just because I wore it out more than the other album. So, that's a great album too.
And there's nothing wrong with having this. No, there's nothing wrong with putting the same artist on there twice. I came dangerously close to putting 2 Dwight Yoakam albums on mine. So
that's another person I could do a top 10 list.
But I'm just gonna say it was really, really close on that for a while.
But Whiskey Bounce got Whiskey Bounce. Whiskey Bent and Hellbound's got the what is it? It's about the women. What is that? Outlaw Women.
It's Outlaw Women, yeah.
That's a very good one, too.
I can't believe I didn't mention that one. Yes, I do love that song.
Yeah.
Outlaw Women.
I like what's Tracy Lawrence redid that song one time.
Really?
Did a really good job. Yeah, if you ever get a chance to look up Tracy Lawrence doing Outlaw Women.
Now, I heard,
it's a great song.
who's the, Gretchen Wilson redid it, too. Her and Hank did it live. And it was pretty
I
good.
remember that. I've seen a video of that, actually.
Yeah, it was pretty good. And it was different hearing a woman sing it. So
Right.
it's kind of different. But, yeah, I think it's got Johnny B. Let me look. I'm going to look real quick and cheat.
It's got
Johnny B. Good. That's a good, man, that is a good pick. White Lightning, Women I Never Had.
You mentioned OD in Denver, and I thought that was that's probably one of my favorite Hank
Yeah.
songs.
I love
a lot of people don't know it.
That's a good one, man. I love that one by Hank.
Yeah, when I was real little, my brother had the 45 record. Brent probably don't know what a 45 is, but I had a 45.
I do, man. I got all kinds of 45, man.
He had a Whiskey Man Hellband. On the flip side was OD in Denver, and I said, let me just see what this is, because I didn't know much about Hank. I just knew the singles, and I said, man, and it blew me away, and I had to go get it. But I'm looking at the album now, and it's like Come and Go Blues, The Conversation, White Lightning. You picked a good, yeah, about everything on here is solid. Everything.
I thought it was pretty solid, man. I've spun it a long time, man.
Yeah, I might have. Yeah, it's got me questioning the Hank album I picked.
No, man, that's no big deal.
Now I can't help myself at all, and I get whiskey bent and hellbound.
Okay, number 8 for me. I've noticed in my list there's a lot of debut albums. I just realized that. Number 8, Steve Earle's Guitar Town.
I like it, man.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, I've actually got that one in my top 5. So.
Oh, really? And I think
Oh yeah.
Steve Earle writes most of his own stuff. I think he wrote everything on the album, or close to
I
it.
think he wrote everything on it. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. He's a really good songwriter. But that's another one. It's like that hit me at that right teenage time growing up. It was a little different than the country I was listening to. So I think it's kind of a country rock album. I can see where people say, well, that's not country. But
And that's one
it's
of those
country.
albums, you listen to it, you don't skip any songs on it. Like, you don't say, oh, I'm tired of this one, I don't want to listen to this one. No, everything on the Guitar Town album it's worth a listen. I would consider that album really, I would call it gritty. Like, it was a little bit different feel, a little bit different sound to everything,
Right. Especially, I guess, for that time as well.
Yeah, I heard he didn't want to release Guitar Town as a single, but the studio did, and he dragged his feet on it. Now, so I don't know why. It's probably, That's
Well, I can't tell you the number of times I've sat around and listened to My Old Friend the Blues. To me, that was the best song on the album. I could sit and listen to that one over and over and over.
Right, that was a good one.
Someday, if you can't picture the guy working at the gas station and singing that song in the song Someday, then you're not listening very close.
No, yeah, that's probably my favorite one on the album. That Someday.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a very good piece of music right there.
Yeah, and there's another one. I haven't really followed his career, but his first 3, it was hard to pick one of them in the first 3 because I really love those. But that's probably the best. If I had to, if you put a gun to my head and said pick what Steve Earle album you want to have.
Yeah, was his Copperhead Road? Did that come out right after?
Yeah, that was his 3rd.
I was going to ask that, actually.
He has
It did.
Guitar.
Copperhead Road came out next, and what I remember about that was the song Johnny Come Lately.
Yeah.
About the war veteran. I thought that was a really cool song.
Yeah, that was his 3rd. He had Guitar Town, then he did Exit O, and then he did Copperhead Road. Yeah, and I love Copperhead Road's good album, but the last, well, I had it on tape, so when I flipped the side B wasn't as good as side A, which I'm guessing is probably around track 6 and on. It was good, it didn't hold up as much as that. That Johnny B. Lately's
Copperhead
good.
Road the one that had the Devil's Right Hand? I think I had Devil's Right Hand.
Devil's Right Hand, which Waylon did that. Steve Earle wrote it, but Waylon did it before he did it.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and he does a little. It's good what Steve Earle does. I guess he wrote it, so I guess he's putting more feeling into it.
I don't listen to no Steve Earle like I should, man. Like I said,
He gets a little. Honestly, his later stuff is really political, and he's not that good to me. His newer stuff, but if you pick up those first 3 albums, I think you'll really enjoy it.
How is he more related to John? Go ahead, King.
Well, I was going to say I was going to agree with Darren on the assessment. He got a little political, and I don't mind if he gets political, but it just I didn't think the music was as good when he got political like that. So, but he did some. He actually had a bluegrass album. what was it called? Train a Comin', maybe. Mostly, I think that was the one that was mostly bluegrass. And he had some really good songs on that. But really, like you said, outside the first few and here and there, he'd spot a few things in. I don't really have a big Steve Earle collection.
Right. Okay, this is kind of off topic a little bit, but how is he related to John Prine? How his music kind of totally different? I mean, I like.
Yeah, I mean, I know John Prine, but I don't know him that good music-wise. I know some songs he's written.
Here's how I'd assess it. I think they both come from that same vein. You've got John Prine, where they did kind of folky. It was still country, but it was a little bit folky. Right. And Steve Earle had that like storytelling aspect to it, kind of like they get from like your Guy Clark or your Rodney Crowell songwriters.
Yeah, Guy Clark.
A lot of those guys, they were good storytellers, and they were songwriters that other songwriters really liked, but they didn't always have the big commercial success. And I think Steve Earle kind of fell into that as well. I think he was probably a little too mature at times for the common listener, just like John Prine was.
Okay.
And then Steve Earle he had a really rough after Carpet Road. He had a really hard time. He got into drugs and stuff, and I think so he spent a few years where he didn't hear much from him, but then he came back and like
his
I
boy,
said,
Justin Townes Earle had a pretty good album out.
Oh, really? Like I said,
he had a decent album.
His new stuff's political, a lot of it, but it's not that. That's why I don't listen to it. It's just I don't know. Just what I've heard of his newer stuff just don't move me like it did in verse 3. But
yeah,
not to upset any Steve Earle fans listening.
Can't get far on $37 in a Chevy car. Now I'm smoking into Texas with a hammer down and a rockin' little combo from a guitar down.
All right, my number 7. I've got, and this may end up higher on some other people's lists. I don't know, but I'm going to guess you've all put this one out there somewhere. Storms of Life by Randy Travis.
That's a pretty solid one, man. That's great, dude. I love it. That has 1982. Is that 1982 on it?
Yes,
okay,
that one had 1982 on it.
And 1982, and it's on the other hand as well.
Yep.
On the other hand, which I think you could argue is one of the greatest country songs ever.
First recorded by Keith Whitley.
Yeah, Keith Whitley. I was going to say that. Keith Whitley did. And,
it was written by Don Schlitz, who also wrote a lot of songs for Reba, but Don Schlitz is most known for writing The Gambler.
Yes, sir.
He made a comeback, but there were several albums on there written by several songs written by Paul Overstreet.
Paul Overstreet, yes. What a great songwriter, man. He's got a few
absolutely.
songs himself.
Yeah, and Paul Overstreet and Don Schlitz wrote a lot for Randy Travis in the first couple albums, and they're all solid, good stuff. There's no album that I grew up on more than Storms of Life.
Right.
Well, we were talking earlier.
I have that LP in my house, man. I spend that one a lot too, dude. There's not a song there's not a bad song on that one in my opinion. I love it all on that one. Love the front of that. Love the cover of the album too. Outside Old Feed Store, or I guess.
Yeah, old general store. Yeah, like an old general store.
That's the old-timey feel of that.
And what they did, that was an abandoned store that nobody even owned, and they tracked down the owner to it, and they went to the Cracker Barrel and got signs and hung on it.
Really?
Yeah,
Is that right?
and took a photo of it, one in the daytime, one because on the back of the album it's a nighttime photo of it.
Right.
And then and I tried to find it. I think it was somewhere in South Carolina or North Carolina, and I tried to find it, but I've heard it's gotten tore down since then. I said,
it's tough.
that should have been saved.
That gum, dude.
Yeah.
But that album, what I thought was something we mentioned earlier, is that there was kind of this struggle of this traditional country music coming back, and Randy Travis said, you know what, I can bring it back and put this album out. People started listening. The country music was kind of swaying towards the pop. That Urban Cowboy was, still feeling ripples from that. And
right, most definitely.
Randy said, I'm going to take it back about 20 years. And it wasn't that he just stripped everything down. He had a great voice. And he sang with the country vocals.
Yeah, and he changed country music.
That's great.
And many people listening probably don't have this album. I bought it from Randy Travis's fan club, probably around '86, and it's him live at the Nashville Palace.
Oh, yeah, the Palace. That's where he used to work.
Yeah, and it was actually it's called Randy Ray at the Nashville Palace, and it's great. It's got a lot of songs on there he never redid. He wrote every track on it. I mean, the quality's not that great, but the songs are still good. And I wish they would re-release this because I have it on tape, and then I burned it onto a CD when I got a CD burner. But it's hard to find those songs, and he did some songs. Actually, I was really into Randy Travis. I tracked down some 45s he did in '78, in
Really?
1978.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's prehistoric, Randy.
yeah, under his,
Was he Randy? Was it Treywick?
Yeah,
He was probably
yeah.
Randy Treywick.
it was on Paula Records, and there's one called "She's My Woman," and I love that song. But I was a huge
yeah.
Randy Travis fan.
I don't know if you guys ever been to the Palace or not. When you walk in the Palace, there's a big shrine of Randy Travis.
Right.
And,
I was just
we're,
there.
We're,
Yeah.
we're proud of Randy Travis' success. He was a former cook here at the Palace.
The-
Stuff like that. I think it's awesome.
The only thing I hate is the Nashville Palace that is there now is not where he worked. He worked next to it, which was a golf shop now. They moved locations.
Oh, really? I was unaware of that.
If you go to that golf shop, you'll see footprints out front.
Oh, really?
Kind of like the Walk of Fame where they put handprints. And his is the first one. It says Randy Ray on it. And so they left that there, but then they moved Nashville Palace next door to a bigger place. Which
That's cool.
I was in
That's
town
awesome.
a couple weeks ago and I ate there, and I said it's still got that vibe. It was fun to sit there and eat, and you can see people singing, local band.
You ate the Palace?
Yeah, we ate it there. Yeah,
Really? They got good food. I've only been there for concerts. I've watched Johnny Lee there, and they had a Keith Whitley Memorial.
it's
concert there one time.
it's bar food. I mean,
Right.
fish, chicken strips, fries, but I mean it wasn't bad.
Pretty cool, man.
Yeah, it was. I liked that because I grew up on him, and I said, man, that'd be just to go in there now. I went in there and it was the old building one time, but I was a lot younger.
Well, I left my soul out in the rain. Lord, what a price I've had to pay. Storms of life are washing me away.
Well, let's keep moving on. I guess we're going to my number 7 now, I guess.
Yeah, let's have it.
All right, well, my number 7 is, and y'all are probably going to cut me down for this, and that's fine. But,
Just be ready.
I just, man, I'm really, for me saying this, man, I love Johnny Cash. Think he's a pioneer for country music. I really do. But I'm not, I mean, I love him, man. I like him. He's got good songs, but I had to throw one of these albums on there just because I like him, and I know people would have been ill if I wouldn't have, because when everybody thinks country music, think of Johnny Cash. You'll think of the Man in Black. But I went with a live album. I went with number 7. Mine is Johnny Cash and Folsom Prison. And obviously there's Folsom Prison Blues on there. There's the Cocaine Blues. The Cocaine Blues is a pretty good song, and the Orange Blossom Special is another one. Cocaine Blues is probably one of my favorite on there for sure. And I don't think Sunday Morning Coming Down is on there. I really love that one, but I don't think it's on that album. That's
No,
really
I don't think it's on that album. I think
That's
you're
probably
right.
that's probably my favorite Johnny Cash album if I had to pick.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody made a top 10 list of the best country albums, not just favorite, I'm sure that's on almost everybody's list.
Yeah.
But I'll admit I've listened to it, but I haven't listened enough to really get into it. And I'm going to say something that's probably going to upset, like you said. I like some of John. I like his hits maybe, but a lot of times.
I'm not a huge Johnny Cash fan. I just think it's like
Yeah, I don't
think it's kind of more generic. Like everybody's like, oh, I like country music. Well, who do you know? Who do you know of country music? I mean, well, Johnny Cash, number 1. I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, it seems like-
I get deeper into it. You know what I mean? Like, if you put Johnny Cash will be my top 10 of my favorite country music artists. As crazy as that sounds, he wouldn't be in my top 10. But that's just me.
I would definitely put him in my top 10. I don't know how high up he would be. It would be fairly high. I mean, I like Johnny Cash. I think he did a lot of good things. I think a lot of his good music didn't necessarily make it out because of so much other stuff that he put out. Like, the guy probably had to have released 500 songs. And when you do that,
yeah.
you're going to release a lot that people don't like, no matter who they are.
Yeah, and part of me is I hadn't digged around and listened to a lot of him, like I have maybe like George Jones or Merle Haggard.
Yeah,
And that-
I do.
Man, that's
where I
my
do.
fault.
Speaks to what I said earlier. When you go back and you don't go back and buy a Johnny Cash album, you go back and buy a Johnny Cash compilation or a box set, and you get a lot of his,
The
the
essential
stuff
Johnny
that
Cash.
people want you to hear. Yeah, the essential type stuff. But I think my favorite song of Johnny Cash, you guys may have never heard of it. It was called Oni, and it was about a guy who was going back in for his last day of work, and the boss had just been riding him from the day he'd been hired. The guy was getting ready to get fired, and he was basically going to give it all back to Oni, everything that he'd given him over the years. And that's by far my favorite Johnny
I have to
Cash
check
song.
that one out. I don't know that one.
Yeah, check Oney, Oni. That's a great one, guys. But he did the Cocaine Blues.
Yeah, I like that one.
Cocaine Blues is a great song, man.
Yeah.
I like Give My Love to Rose, Home of the Blues. Dwight Yoakam redid Home of the Blues.
Right.
On his, what album was that? That would
With a Spanish title that I can't pronounce right, or everybody will laugh at me.
Buenos Noches from a Lonely Room.
Thank you. I think that's the one that's on.
Yeah, it was on that album. But yeah, Johnny Cash did I think he just did so much stuff. I kind of put him in the same vein as Merle Haggard. I mean, I love Merle Haggard, probably my favorite artist, but Merle Haggard did so many songs and was around for decade after decade after decade. He did some stuff that I just wasn't a big fan of over the years.
Okay.
You know,
Right.
I think Johnny Cash does the same thing. So, and what kind of surfaces and rises to the top is not really up to me. And so people who are just casual Johnny Cash or casual Merle Haggard fans may only hear certain things. So, but yeah, I'm a big fan of
Tried and Folsom Prison Blues. You know what I mean? Like, I may only hear that. So I see what you're
Absolutely.
saying, Keenan. I see what you're
Yeah.
saying, Keenan.
I'm stuck in Folsom Prison, and time keeps dragging on. But that train keeps a rolling on down to San Antone.
Okay, my number 7, I'm not sure if y'all, hopefully one of y'all have listened to this, and it's Picking on Nashville by the Kentucky Headhunters.
You know what? I thought I'd be the
Yeah.
only one. I thought I'd be the only one with that on my list.
Oh, it made your list too.
Camp County's finest.
Oh, all right. And I mean that from he redid Don Gibson, Lonesome Me. Thank you.
Lonesome Me. That's right. Lonesome
Yeah,
Me.
and who did Walk Softly on This Heart of Mine?
That's Bill Monroe.
Bill Monroe, he did, and they killed that, and then of course they got Doom with Walt Walker. Everybody knows that on the album, but that's another.
Strawberry fried a ball of ski.
That's another one of them albums. I wore out. I say albums, but of course it's on tape.
You know, that was one of those albums I remember when I was in high school. You know, there were some of us that listened to country music, but it wasn't something you hear blasted in the parking lots. Or
Kind of a shame.
being
Kind of like
blared
Marvin
out in the
Mandrell.
car.
You were country when country was cool.
Exactly, but you think about that song. But when Picking on Nashville came out, Kentucky Headhunters, they made it cool. Like, you would drive around, you'd listen. Everybody had the Kentucky Headhunters album.
Yeah, it was
You know,
kind of
you heard
like
it all the time.
They're not
They
country.
play all the time, man. Where I'm from, they play in like 20 miles from. They play everywhere, dude. From where I'm from, man. It's crazy. They play all the time.
Now, if I have to say something bad, I'll talk about the second album had a cover of David Crockett, and the whole album wasn't too good. And then the two Felton brothers, the lead singer and his brother, left to join to have their own
They made
thing.
Brother Phelps, yeah.
Yeah, and but the Kentucky Headhunters
I
just
like the
had.
Davy Crockett song, man.
Yeah, it's okay. It just compared to that.
I mean, it's all right. I mean, it's
Just compared to-
old folk song.
Compared to the other songs on that Picking on Nashville album, it wasn't.
Oh yeah, I agree.
That was a high bar for them to reach on that second album, and
Yeah,
they
I
just
agree,
never.
man.
I can't. They haven't done anything since Picking on Nashville that I've cared about, and I
They
hate
didn't
that.
have to either.
No, no.
Oh, you're right.
They set themselves up pretty good on that one.
Yeah, but I just wish I could say, man, they got 10 good albums or they got 5 great albums. Because I was really like looking forward to hearing a lot more from them, and then just kind of, once the brothers left, they kind of, you can't lose your lead singer hardly, and maybe one day they'll all get back together again. We can hope.
Walk softly on this heart of mine, love. Don't treat it mean and so unkind.
I guess I'll go ahead and jump down to number 6.
Okay.
And my number 6 would be the Red-Headed Stranger album by
Ah.
Willie Nelson.
Dude, Keenan, I was so close to
Yeah.
my number 6, man.
Is that right?
Dude, I was so close when I
Beat you to it, huh?
It was almost in my top 10, but I didn't make it. I took it. Actually, I took it
I
off.
didn't make it to mine either, but I was almost about to substitute it for another one in my number 6. I promise you, that's crazy.
That's
You know,
a
something I hadn't listened to, and it was something I hadn't listened to in a long time, and I just got back into it. Music's a little more accessible now. I can, pick it up on my phone and play it when I'm in the shower, and that's one of the songs that you play when I'm getting ready for work, and I've got, I kind of got in the habit of playing the Red-Headed Stranger album. It's just such a cool album.
Is that one of the
Oh,
concept
yeah.
albums? Is it concept or it's like a?
That was supposed to be the concept album.
Yeah. Okay.
And, he had 4 or 5 songs on that album that were less than 2 minutes long. Like,
But they're good ones, man. There's I love that album. I can listen to 2 or 3 awesome songs on that. I'm trying to name them honestly.
You got Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain, and
Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain. That's right.
you had the Time of a Preacher. You had I'll tell you what he did. He redid a Hank Cochran song on there called "Can I Sleep in Your Arms."
Oh, that's
that
right.
was-
Yeah, and you have one on
That
that.
was high level.
That was good. He had one on that was really like under a minute. I think it was like really short. I can't remember what it was called, but I remember.
There were 2 or 3 of them that were like 45, 50 seconds long.
Yeah, like that Denver, I
But-
think was the name of it. Yeah, it was.
If somebody asked me,
Time of a Preacher theme is 25 seconds. I'm looking right here. Just as I am. Is that the hymn? That's not the hymn, is it? I don't think so.
No. Let me. Which one was the hymn?
The Blue Rock. Obviously, the Red-Headed Stranger, Blue Rock, Montana. That's a good one on there as well. That's about a minute 36.
Well, if anybody ever asks me what's a Willie Nelson song sound like, I can explain it to them in 90 seconds. I'd get the song. I couldn't believe it. I'd get the song. I couldn't believe it was true. That's on the Red-Headed Stranger album. I'd say, here you go. Take 90 seconds to listen to this, and you'll know exactly what Willie Nelson sounds like. And you'll know exactly what his sound is supposed to sound like.
Down Yonder's pretty good. That's another good one. Pretty good album, buddy.
Yeah, that's a good pick. Like I said, it was.
Kudos to you, Keenan.
I haven't. I almost made my list, but I don't think I've listened to it enough to put it on. So.
Right.
But I mean, I can't blame anyone for having it on that list. That's for sure.
And through the ages, I'll remember blue eyes crying in the rain.
Okay, Brent, you want to go?
All right, where we at?
6.
Yeah. We'll roll this. My number 6 is I had to throw a Possum album in there, man, and the one that I think that influenced his career the most, and it really made a turnaround for him is "I Am What I Am." The album "I Am What I Am," and there's 2-3 good songs on there. Maybe not. An album you can sit forever on there. He covered "Good Hearted Woman" on there one time. There's "Good Hearted Woman" on that album, and he obviously his most known song, "He's Not Loving Her Today," was on there. And "If Drinking Don't Kill Me, Her Memory Will." That's a good one. I love that song. And I also went to the fun fact about this is "He Stopped Loving Her Today." When he recorded this song, he told his producer, he said, "This is the most morbid," and I quote, he said, "This is the most morbid thing. Nobody will ever buy this son of a bitch." He said, "It's the most morbid thing ever." And he said, "Nobody's ever gonna buy this." And obviously it turned out to be his best, his most notable hit he's ever had.
Yeah, it might be one of the. It'd probably be in everybody's top 5 best country songs ever.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, and I heard that part where he speaks, where he talks about her coming back. That in the original song, that line's not in there, and he said that's the only way he will record it if he adds that in, that she has to come back in the song to finish it out.
Right.
And I didn't know he did good. I didn't know he did a Good Hearted Woman. I never heard that. I have to go check that out. I haven't heard him do that.
He obviously, Willie and Waylon wrote that song, but he actually had that on an album. It was like it's on the second side of the album. I know that because I play that repeatedly. But it's on the second side of the album on "I Am What I Am."
Yeah, I don't.
That's another one. That's another one I'd mention that that's a grown-up album. That's a grown-up country music album. Like that's not something a 16-year-old kid's gonna like. That's something that you've got to have a little life experience. Every song on that album, from what I remember, is either drinking, cheating, or someone's dead. Like that's the entire album.
And that's great country music.
Yeah, that's country music. So you saying he didn't have a song on there about doing a tailgate party?
No, there's no tailgate.
Not quite. Not cruising. They ain't cruising or singing pop music for sure, man. No.
Yeah, I haven't even. I'll be honest, I don't know that album. I know somebody. I have to check that one out because I know that's probably one of his most popular ones. But
it was in 1980. I guess I don't know when he really got. I know he got down there. When he was on the drug binge and all that. He got down to like 110 pounds or something. I don't know if that was the. I think he was almost done with that crazy binge by that time. I could be wrong. But by that time, I think he was about done, and he had some bigger hits, before then. Obviously, White Lightning and stuff like that. But I think this right here is probably the most influential album to him that probably changed the course of his career. Maybe. I'm
just throwing a shot in the dark here. He probably had 15 or 20 albums before that one came along, and probably didn't have a dozen or 20, a dozen or 20 after it came out. But if you'll remember, which I don't know how much you were paying attention at the time. Of course, you may not have been around yet, Brett. Sorry,
I wasn't even alive, man.
In the early 80s, George Jones was on the radio all the time. He had something out every single month, it seemed like, and it was good stuff.
Right.
He had a lot of really good things, and he was still putting out good albums in the 90s. I think his Walls Can Fall album was. Walls
Can Fall was a great album, man. Does that have choices on it?
No, that's not the one with choices.
No,
I don't think that's the one with choices.
Okay, all right, that's a great
but the title track, Walls Can Fall, was pretty good. You Must Have Walked Through My Mind Again. Mm-hmm. Just a couple of throwback country songs. That might have been the one that had the Finally Friday on it.
That does have Finally Friday on it.
High Tech Redneck.
Yeah, that does have Finally Friday on it. I do remember that.
So yeah, good choice right there. I do like the classic George Jones, the early '80s George Jones. You could probably just pick any one of 4 or 5 albums out from a 5-year span there, and they would all be about the same as far as that's concerned. But that was probably the first one that kind of got him back on track again.
Right.
He stopped loving her today. They placed a wreath upon his door, and soon they'll carry him away. He stopped loving her today.
I think it was Brent took my number 6 already, so we don't have to spend much time talking about it. Mark Chestnut's Too Cold at Home.
Oh, dang. I'm sorry, Darren.
Nah, that's okay. That's okay. I'm glad we got some things the same, but
Keenan took my number 5. I'll tell you that in a second.
well, somebody took my number 1 already.
Oh, wow.
It's about to happen, guys.
But,
Keenan took my number 5, so it's cool, man. I ain't going to say nothing.
Sorry about that.
But I'll say Too Cold.
You're good, man. You're good.
I'll say Too Cold at Home. I mean, we already talked about it, but and I'll tell you this little story. When that was his first single, Too Cold at Home, and I remember I saw the video of it back when they played country music videos on TV. They used to have a TV show called now I didn't draw a blank on it, but there was a lady hosted on TNN. I used to watch TNN all the time, but she came on there and I said, "This is too country. They're not going to play it on radio. This is going to be a one-hit guy. I'll never see him again." And boy, was I wrong. And I finally saw Mark Chestnut in concert like a year ago. Finally, and he puts on a great show. And I don't even realize how many hits he has until I saw him in concert, and I was like, man, I think every song is like a big hit.
Yeah,
he carried a lot.
He carried that success for a pretty long time. When I don't know when that album came out.
It had to be. Let me look. I think it was 90.
90s, right?
It had to be 91. It had to be. Let me look real quick.
Did that one have? That one had Brother Jukebox on it. Did we mention that one already?
No, we didn't. But somebody else did that too, Brother Jukebox, and I'm trying to remember who it was. It wasn't Keith Whitley, was it?
I think Keith Whitley might have done Brother Jukebox.
Keith Whitley does everything, don't he?
Yeah.
Every time
and
we
he does
mention
everything well too. Oddly enough, so.
Yeah, but although his
he does, man. He cut. I don't know. A lot of people. That's kind of weird. He kind of cut. Like a lot of people pick up his music that he kind of covers, which Keith Whitley covered. He covered Brother Jukebox though. I can't even remember who it was, the Everly Brothers or somebody cut that song first, and then he was like, I need to put this on the album. And then obviously Mark Chestnut picked up with it as well. So it's crazy, man. Music gets passed on to another decade, but it's great. I love it.
Yeah, and I'm just looking to see what else he had. Hey You There in a Mirror, that's a really good one. Danger at My Door, Too Good a Memory. I mean, just almost every song on the album's just solid songs.
Where the streets are paved with misery and lives are built on lies, a place they call the broken promised land.
Mine's already been mentioned, and it was Guitar Town. I think it was Darren that mentioned it earlier.
Yeah,
I think
my
Guitar Town should be. I think it's a top 5 song or top 5 album.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's just nothing to skip on that album, and it was such a change. You've got that 1986 year that we were talking about. It was like, country music is a big ship, and it's hard to change its direction. Like, it doesn't just change overnight. Like, it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. But it just seemed like in that year when Guitar Town came out, and Dwight Yoakam and, some of those other guys with Steve Earle, they did something, and the music just shifted real quickly. And things were different. It kind of jump-started what was going to be happening in the 90s, and of course, things slowly started shifting back about 2000.
Someday I'm finally gonna let go, 'cause I know there's a better way. I wouldn't know what's over that rainbow. I'm gonna get out of here someday.
Well, daggum, Keenan, you really delivered a blow to me, dude. This is my top 5, man. You had this at number 10. Now it's top 5. I got The Voice, man. Chisel and Stone. It's a great album. I've spun it many nights. It's it's hard. It's hard to beat, dude. It's got Do you believe me now? We'll talk about this in opposite line. Do you believe me now? I love Adam. Set him up, Joe, Chisel and Stone. I mean, what else do you need?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
It's awesome, dude.
Do You Believe Me Now? I forgot it, but that's a great song too. I forgot that was
That's a
on the
great
album.
one, dude. That's a great one. I mean, can't beat that with a stick, boys.
I told you time and time again, my heart and soul is in your hand. Do you believe me now? Do you believe me now?
Number 5, Garth Brooks.
Ooh, you're bringing a little 90s in. I like it. A little late 80s, early 90s. I like it.
Rope in the Wind. I mean, I was graduating high school.
Heck of an album.
I was graduating high school by the time it came out, and it was, I mean, Garth Brooks, especially those first two. I know he gets a lot of slack. People say he's not country, but if you listen to some of that early stuff, he's got a lot of,
Dude,
he's got country stuff on
Beats of
there.
Cheyenne makes you want to run through a brick wall.
Right.
I love Beats of Cheyenne, dude. I love that song. Love all the Garth Brooks stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he's got songs about the rodeo. He's got songs about heartache, and he gets a lot of, honestly.
Wild Horses. I love Wild Horses. I love
Yeah, no, he has one called Wolves that's on a different album that's really good. What's She Doing Now? That's a great
Dude,
great
What She's
song.
Doing Now is a good one. I love that one. That's a great one, man.
I did like, and I think he wrote that one. I think he was a songwriter on that one. Or
right.
got a co-writing credit on that.
I can sit, like you said about Johnny Cash. I can sit here and put top 10 of Garth Brooks albums. I mean, I could put a top 10 list of Garth Brooks albums just himself, dude. Somewhere other than Night, I love that song, man. He just got so many good ones. That Summer, it's just hard. I mean, he's great.
Yeah,
dude. I like him.
he's got it.
I'm gonna have to be the odd man out here. I'm just not a big Garth Brooks fan. You know,
No,
I know that there's a lot of big fans out there, and I can
He's
honestly name 5 or 6 Garth Brooks songs that I think are awesome. Like I really like Wild Horses and Much Too Young. Much Too Young was phenomenal. You know, I just think that's a great song. But I never really got into him. I wasn't a big fan. Like some of you, I thought he was a little pop. He did some country themes, but to me, he was more of a rock star. And it wasn't I disliked him. I just kind of ignored him. I was
Yeah,
enough, man.
I'm
When
out.
the
Brooks song came on, I tuned it out. I wasn't that big of a fan.
saw one time, man, about like 2 or 3 years ago. As far as a concert goes, the guy's a freaking entertainer, dude. That guy will be sweating by song 3. I mean, he is drenched in sweat. That guy is everywhere. He's a heck of an entertainer, man. If you never been to his
I don't doubt
concerts,
it.
you need to go for sure.
Yeah, I saw him.
I have been told that by a couple of friends, but
Oh, dude,
you know, I
he's
also
real.
no, I completely respect it. That Garth has a lot of fans out there, and I know why, but I'm just not one of them.
I'll
Yeah,
go.
that's fine, man. Each his own, buddy. Each his own. Dude, my favorite Garth Brooks song I've never lost a love, not counting you. Love that song.
I do
Oh,
like
yeah.
Not Counting You.
That's one of my favorite Garth Brooks songs.
You know, he hates that
Probably
song.
top 2.
He hates that song.
Who hates that song?
Garth Brooks.
Really? I love it.
I-
That's my favorite Garth
No,
Brooks
I think that's a great one. I really like.
That's his first single, and I heard he didn't write it. I heard he never does it in concert or anything.
No, he never does. The
Because
only
he
time I
hates
went
it.
to see him in concert, he didn't do it, man.
Well, it ain't no woman, flesh and blood. It's that damned old road ego. Oh, well, it's bulls and blood. It's a dust and mud. It's the roar of a Sunday crowd. It's the white in his knuckles, the gold in the buckle. He'll win the next go round. It's boots and chaps. It's cowboy hats. It's spurs and let it go. It's the ropes and the reins and the joy and the pain, and they call the thing a road ego.
Is it Candace's turn? I'm pretty sure it is.
Yep,
Yeah, I'm
top
on number
4.
4. Ready for that?
Yes,
All right,
sir.
let's see if anybody else thought of this one. I'm going to go with "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou."
Ooh,
Oh, wow.
wow, that is a good one.
Greatest hits, but I'm
Soggy
telling
Bottom
you,
Boys.
I didn't even think of
call that a greatest
soundtracks.
hits album.
Yeah,
Seek the treasure.
I didn't even think of soundtracks. Yeah.
You know,
That's a pretty good one.
Here's what I like about that album. First of all, you've got Ralph Stanley doing a solo on there. You've got the
Rest in
Alison
peace, Ralph
Krauss. Yeah, you got Alison Krauss, Jillian Welch, the Cox Band. Like, there's just a lot of good things put together. It's basically a country music album, country music history put together in spare parts. is
What a
it
great
is.
movie. What a great movie, by the way. One of my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good
We
movie.
had to
Yeah.
put a top 10 movie list to be in my top 10, boys.
Yeah.
Right there and now.
And of all the albums that I've got on my list, it probably sold more copies than any of them. Like I want to say it sold like
Oh,
8
for
or 10
sure.
million copies.
Oh, it was huge and had no radio play.
It's got
Radio wouldn't play
bluegrass
it.
and gospel and folk.
Yeah,
and
when I was
country.
learning to play banjo, I actually bought a "Oh Brother Where Art Thou" like a song book. Like it had the tabs and a banjo tab and everything in for it, man. It was awesome. That's one of the first things I learned how to play banjo on.
Is that right? Yeah.
That is. That's pretty neat.
There were a lot of people saying that when that album came, with that movie, that it was gonna make a big change, big cultural shift in country music. And I don't think it stuck, but I do think that a lot of people turned and looked at it at the time. I think
Big Rock Candy
really
Mountain.
tried to have yes, and it sounded like that thing was recorded in an old barn. But I'm gonna throw that out there as my number 4. I really think that's a top 5 album.
I am a man of constant sorrow. I've seen trouble all my day. I bid farewell to old Kentucky, the place.
All right, I guess we're going on my number 4 here. I don't know if you guys are a big Statler's fan, but I'm going to go with the Statler Brothers on this. I'm going with their album of the best of the Statler Brothers. It was in 1975, and man, there's just countless. I'm a big Statler fan. Love Statler Brothers. A lot of good songs on this album. Bed of Roses, obviously. Flowers on the Wall, one of their signature hits. Class 57, Pictures. I'll Go to My Grave Loving You. Do you remember these? I mean, I could sit here all day long. Susan When She Tried is one of my personal favorites.
That's my favorite. I bet. I think Susan When She Tries is better.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Tried, dude. Love the Statler Brothers, man. Always love it.
Go ahead. I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead. No, you go ahead, Ken. You go ahead, buddy.
No, I was gonna say you said it was 1975. That would have meant that Lou DeWitt was still with them. That was back when they had.
That's when they had the original guitar player. That's when they had the original guitar player.
And I like Jimmy Fortune, who came in and played with them. But Lou
I
DeWitt
do love
was-
Jimmy Fortune. He come in like later, I guess, when they recorded the Atlanta Blue album. I love the Atlanta Blue song. They come in later when he played Atlanta Blue, but I do love the original. I can't remember like you said his name, the original guitar player before he died.
Lou DeWitt.
Yeah, Lou DeWitt with the Statler Brothers, man. Love that album. One of my favorite albums about Statler Brothers. They've got Do You Remember These? Obviously.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, the Class of '57's a good one. Man, they've just got so many good ones. I can name 100 Statler Brothers songs. I love Statler.
They made a lot of money early on. They were backing up Johnny Cash.
They were always on his show. He always fighted to come on the show, and that's where they made their bread and butter. I think, in my opinion.
Right, that's a good one.
They had a song early on called "We Got Paid by Cash."
Right, we got paid by cash. Correct. That's correct.
Yeah,
You are
talking
right.
about their time with him and how hard it was to leave whenever it was time to get out.
Right.
Yeah, they had some really good stuff.
It's good to see you. I must go. I know I look up front. Anyway, my eyes are not accustomed to this life, and my shoes are not accustomed to this hard concrete. So I must go back to my room and make my day complete.
You are here, and that's Sturgill Simpson's High Top Mountain. It is the best country album I've heard in the last 10 years, I'm sure. One of y'all put...
I did.
Yeah,
I started off...
He put the one with,
He put the second
I
one
didn't
on.
Modern Sounds, but High Top Mountain's really good.
High Top Mountain
Like
is... And it's pure country. It's pure country. And it sounds a lot like
It's
Waylon.
the one with the ships. Is that the one with the
No,
ships?
this is his... I don't know what's on the cover. It's some mountains, I think. But this...
It has mountains.
It's got some drawings on it.
Yellow.
All right. I'm trying to figure out which one that was with the ships on it.
That's his newest one that's got the In Bloom
That's the
cover
one that
on
won
it.
a Grammy.
Okay, yeah, that's right. That's what I thought. It's killing me. I didn't know what it was.
I was really out of country music. I gave up on it, and this just blew me away. Unlike anything in recent years that made me say, man, this is great. And I just fell in love with it. And I've listened. Thing is, I listened to that second one, the Modern Sounds, first. And I really loved it. And I didn't give the other one the chance. I listened to it a few times, but then I just forced myself to listen to High Top Mountain over and over again. And I fell in love with it.
I repeat the song "You Can Have the Crown" just about daily in my truck when I'm going to work. I just think that's a great song. But he did the song. He redid "I'd Have to Be Crazy," which was an old. I remember it as a Willie Nelson song. I'm sure it's been recovered by a lot of people. But if you get a chance to do "I'd Have to Be Crazy," that's a good one to listen to.
Railroad of Sin's a really good one. Old King Cole, Someday, Hero.
Sitting Here Without You.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
You boys are going to I want to get more Sturgill.
You listen to High Top.
Yes, I'd agree.
You guys are piquing my interest. I'm going to have to get into it, man.
I'd say start with High Top Mountain. I think Darren's right on that one. I think you start with High Top Mountain, and then if you get a little taste for it, then his sound changes a little bit. He amps it up a little bit.
His latest album, the one you're talking about with the boats on it, it's not as country. It's a really good album, but it's not as country as High Top. If you want to hear some real old, pure outlaw type country, that's the one you want to start with.
It's when Sturgill probably got that label of being the Waylon Jennings. He got a lot of people would talk to him with that Waylon Jennings.
It sounds a little bit like Waylon in it.
Title and that was the album. You can hear it. You can hear a lot of Waylon in it.
They're very much. Yeah, check it out. I'm curious what you think about it if you check it out.
I'm going to dig deeper into it. You guys pick me interest sure on that.
Well, I've been spending all my money on weed and pills, trying to write a song that'll pay the bills, but it ain't came yet, so I guess I'll have to rob a bank. I guess it could be worse, it ain't that bad, at least I ain't sitting in no Baghdad in the middle of a hot damn desert, sitting in a tank.
And I was going to list 2 albums at 3, but you already named one of them, Brett, because I was going to do the 2 live albums by Johnny Cash. The At San Quentin.
Okay.
I actually had planned on At San Quentin. I thought I've got to mention the Folsom Prison album because I really like that one too. But oddly enough, if I had to tear one of them out and take it with me, I'd take the San Quentin album with me.
That's a pretty good one, dude.
A little bit better. That's the one with the record, the old '97 on it, and he did Wanted Man, and it was also the one where he introduced a boy named Sue.
Right. Is that the same time that Merle Haggard was? I know Merle Haggard was in San Quentin, obviously. But do you think that was recorded at the same time Merle Haggard was listening to Johnny?
No.
Okay.
Merle Haggard was at a concert that Johnny Cash did at San Quentin, but it wasn't that concert.
Okay,
that concert was in 1969. Merle Haggard had been out of jail for quite some time by then.
Right. Okay. I was wondering about that.
Yeah, that concert, the At San Quentin, was recorded right after the Folsom Prison. Like they were back-to-back albums, and that's why I kind of was going to lump them together. But we don't have to because we already talked about Folsom Prison.
Right.
But if you think about that album, that was the first one after Luther Perkins had passed away. Like Luther Perkins is, one of the Tennessee Two that played with Johnny Cash. He died, and they did this album just directly thereafter.
Right.
So
awesome, man.
He actually brought in Carl Perkins to play the guitar. He had the Statler brothers backing him up. He had the Carter family on the stage with him.
San Quentin, what good do you think you do? Do you think I'll be different when you're through? You bend my heart and mind and you warp my soul. Your stone walls turn my blood a little cold.
Well, I guess we're all mine now.
Yeah.
We just went to Kenyon. I guess we're all mine. All right, guys, don't cut me down for picking another live album, but I got to do it. I'm sorry. I had to throw the Hag in on one of my top 10. He's worthy of it. Great songwriter. One of the greatest, in my opinion. But I had to go with the Rainbow Stew. I had to go with Live at Anaheim Stadium with the Rainbow Stew album. He had "Send Me Back Home" on there, obviously. Rainbow Stew, Misery and Gin's a good song. I think I'll just stay here and drink. It's followed up by Misery and Gin. Back to the Barroom's another one, man. I think it's great. Great one to spin.
I don't think I've ever listened to a live Merle Haggard album. Again,
I haven't either.
You need to listen to this. This is probably his most popular live album ever.
Yeah, I'm going to definitely check it out.
I've seen Merle Haggard live, but I've never listened to one of his albums.
Lucky you, man. I wish I could.
Hey,
you, buddy. But yeah, this is probably his most. This was released in about July of 1981, and it's a solid one, dude. I love it. I've spent it 100 times.
Yeah, I'll have to check that one out. Like I said, I don't know much. I love Merle Haggard. I didn't even know he had a live album. I mean, not surprised he does.
He's actually got more. I've got another live album by him. I think he's in Philadelphia.
Really?
And, he's doing Ogie from Muskogee. I think it's like the head song of the line of that one. But yeah, he's in Philadelphia on that one for sure. So
that's good.
A couple years ago, I read a book by a guy named David Cantwell. He wrote a book called Down Every Road, and basically he analyzed like the social aspect of all the songs and Merle Haggard's career and how things were going on around him that was kind of shaping these albums and these songs that he was writing. And it was incredible insight on Merle Haggard and his complexities, and he's just not necessarily the guy that you always get from the songs, but you can see how you get somebody who's a brilliant songwriter who writes a lot of really good stuff. They call him the poet of the common man, and you find out that that's pretty much what he was. He was a guy who had real problems and real issues, and Of course, you can just look at him on stage and tell that he's like the rest of us. There's nothing flashy or fancy about that guy. So it was really good. I enjoy the heck out of Merle Haggard for sure.
One of these days when the air clears up and the sun comes shining through, we'll all be drinking that free bubble up and eating that rainbow stew. Eating rainbow stew in a silver spoon underneath that sky of blue. We'll all be drinking that free bubble up and eating that rainbow stew.
My number 3, and it was hard to pick a Hank Jr. album, but I had to put one on the list. Old Habits.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That is.
Dinosaur.
Yeah, I mean, it's got Dinosaur, the Blues Man. I mean, that's
Solid, buddy.
a great. So I just saw Travis Tritt do an acoustic concert here in Macon, and he did acoustic The Blues Man,
Really
and it was
awesome.
really cool. But it's got
My
the
Home's in Alabama is another good one on there.
yeah, and it's got the
It's all in Alabama. One of the two.
it's all all in Alabama, and he's got the American Way, and then he's got the
Good.
one that Chris Christopherson wrote. If you don't like Hank Williams, which everybody should know
You
that
can kiss my AWS.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a line in the American Way. As a kid, I was singing it, and I didn't know how dirty it was until I listened to it when I was older.
Are you talking about the woman where the
Yep.
woman asked about the
Yeah,
horse?
yeah. She says, "Pardon me, is your horse outside?"
Is your horse parked outside?
Yeah, he says, "Is your horse outside?" And he says, "No, ma'am. He's between my legs, but you're too fat to ride." Yeah, and then says she's too fat to ride. I did not know how dirty that was for years later. I was like, yeah. But that was the first. My brother was into Hank Jr. and I listened to what he listened to, and I bought that one because he didn't have it, and I just fell in love with it. And honestly, between that and Hank Jr. and the Friends album, which was recorded here in Macon, them two were the.
Really?
I couldn't decide which one to put on it, but I had to go with Habits on You because of, like I said, Dinosaur, Kalijah, The Blues Man. If you don't like Hank Williams, I mean, it's just got classic.
Well, you posed the question of what was your first album you ever bought with your own money, and I was such a big Hank Williams Jr. fan when I was, 8, 9, 10 years old, and I'm sure, I don't remember what the first album I bought was, but I guarantee you one of my first 2 or 3 was a Hank Williams Jr. album, because that was what I spent my money on.
Yeah,
I'd say
most definitely.
Now,
buy whichever one was in, the next one in line in Kmart that I hadn't bought yet, that was the one I was going to get. So couldn't wait to get it home and get a pair of pliers and a razor knife to try to get it out of the plastic. So because they
Now-
come with those big long sheets.
Oh,
that-
yeah, they-
sheets that you hide the cassettes in so you wouldn't steal them.
they really put them on there.
Couldn't wait to break it open and get it to my tape player.
Hey, he's put on a good. I mean, I saw him in Macon, probably late '80s, and he stood on top of his piano and had a shotgun he was shooting off. Well, I guess it had blanks in it, but it was still. I mean, he took his shirt off,
Hank
and
Jr. That's prime Bocephus.
yeah, but
He came to an arena not too far from where I lived, and I was junior. It was probably the first concert I ever went to, like certainly like a stadium type concert. And he just released the Born to Boogie album, and we went to watch him on stage.
that's cool.
It was, and the problem was I think he was doing a lot of heavy partying at the time, and I remember him being he got a lot of booze. He got a lot of booze when he was up on stage. I think he was he wasn't quite right to put on a show that night. Let's just put it that way. So. That was my first
awesome
experience with him at a concert. Didn't make me like him any less,
Cause you see, I'm a dinosaur. I should have died out a long time before. Have pity on a dinosaur. Hand me my hat, excuse me, man. Where's the door?
I'm going to guess that I'm going to be the first one to get to say this, but I got a suspicion that both of you are probably going to mention this at some point in time. But I'm going to break it out. The Guitars, Cadillacs, and Hillbilly Music album by Dwight Yoakam.
Dwight Yoakam.
Oh yeah,
I like it.
that is a great one.
I mean, here's what I think is kind of interesting about this one. He had 3 different. I mean, as much as Dwight Yoakam's known for writing his own music, he had 3 covers on that album. Like he did "Heartaches by the Number," which is an old Harlan Howard song. He did "Ring of Fire," Johnny Cash. He did a cover of that, and then obviously he did Honky Tonk Man, the Johnny Horton song.
Yeah.
But I mean that was when him and Pete Anderson had those Telecasters. Like they were Buck Owens and Don Rich, and they were just tearing them up on stage. So.
Right.
Yeah,
For me, that was just a phenomenal album.
that's one of them albums changed me.
He had the song "It Won't Hurt." I don't know if you remember that one.
Right.
It won't hurt when I fall down off this bar.
Yeah, I love that. That's one of my favorites right there.
Miner's Prayer, South of Cincinnati.
Yeah, that whole album.
Yep.
That whole
That
album.
whole album was solid.
And Dwight, I was talking about like Hank Jr., where I hadn't kept up with him, but Dwight's albums are still. He's putting out some great albums still.
Yeah,
He
most
does put
definitely.
out great albums.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
I mean, even like I grew up on Randy Travis. Some of his later stuff I didn't really fell in love with, but Dwight's his last couple. He was just in Macon too. About 2 months ago, he puts on.
I've seen Dwight Yoakam in concert twice, and I'm not a big concert guy as much as I talked about the ones that I've seen on here. I don't watch very many concerts, but I've seen him twice, and both times he'll play one or two songs from his first album, and a couple songs from his Hillbilly Deluxe, and a couple songs from his next album. Like he plays everything.
Yeah, he does
And
album
he doesn't go out there and
cuts.
try to do covers of other songs. He doesn't try to do rock songs. He does his music, and he does it really well.
He does Dwight Yoakam, man.
Yeah.
He does.
Well, I saw him in Atlanta too about a year ago, and I was right at the stage, and it was probably the best concert I've ever been to. But like I said, he pulled a lot of. He did like Wild Ride, which isn't a single, just an album cut.
I remember that.
Yeah, and he did it, and he
That was
did
on the This Time. I think
This
that's on
Time,
the
yeah.
Time album.
this time, and then he did a whole Merle Haggard. He did like 3 Merle Haggard songs in a row.
Really?
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
one? Do you remember which ones?
No, I can't remember off the top of my head. He did that, and then he did like a Buck one. What he did is, and too, when he did the Buck albums, that song "Turn It On, Turn It Up, Turn It Loose," where he's got a line in there about Buck Owens. He got that line, and then stopped the music, and then did like 3 Buck Owens songs, and then finished singing "Turn It On, Turn It Up, Turn It Loose." It was pretty neat. But
Yeah, he redid one of his later albums. He just did one called Three Pairs, probably 7 years ago, and he did a cover of Dim Lights, Thick Smoke.
that's a really good. And he did
and he killed it. Like he was so good on that.
he did really good.
Awesome.
And speaking of live albums, he's got a really good live album out too. And he's got one that's an acoustic album that's really good. Just
Yeah,
like
Dwight
this.
Yoakam Acoustic.net or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. But I've listened to that one over and over.
And then he went back like last year and did it like greatest hits, but turned them all into bluegrass.
Right.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like all his hits.
I do remember that.
Yeah, all his hits. And I don't, I like some bluegrass. I don't really get into it that much. I don't know that much about it, but it was interesting hearing a song that you grew up on done differently like that.
Right.
Another lesson about a naive fool who came to Babylon. Found out that the pie don't taste so sweet. Now his guitar's Cadillac, hillbilly music, lonely, lonely streets that I call home.
All right, fellas. I had to go with the. I'm sorry. I had to do two Bo Cephas albums in the top 10.
That's
Sorry, Darren. What was you gonna say, buddy?
I say ain't nothing wrong with that because it's hard not to do 2 or 3.
It was, man. My second one, my number 2 of top 10 is "The Pressure's On" by Hank Jr.
Is that the one where he's standing in front of the train?
That is when he's standing for the train. Released in '81. It's got "Country Boy Can't Survive" on that. It's got "All My Rowdy Friends Settle Down," another good one, and one of my favorite, honestly my favorite out of all of these. All my songs on this album is "Weatherman." I love "Weatherman," dude. That's a heck of a song. It's about trial and tribulations, and it really speaks, man. It's a heck of a song. If you ain't never listened to it, you need to go take a peek at it. It's a heck of a song.
I remember. Ain't the Ballad of Hank Williams on there?
The Ballad of Hank Williams. And
I used to love that.
Don Helms is on that with him. Yes.
Yeah, when I was little, I loved
Don
that song.
Helms, the steel guitar player?
Yes, for his band. Yes, that's correct.
Uh-huh.
For the Drifting Cowboys.
Yeah.
Yeah, he talks about how Hank Sr. fired him.
Yeah,
Also,
how he fired him. Yeah, he was like acting all crazy and stuff like this. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. That's the last track on the album actually. So I have that CD in my truck, and I play that till the end. That's the last thing that flips over till the Vern Gosling CD flips back over.
and it's kind of a parody song because it's the same tune as the Battle of New Orleans by who was that?
Yes.
Johnny Horton.
Johnny Horton. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
Johnny
it's the
Horton.
same music.
Good
Yeah,
road trip.
yeah, that's very good. And I think it's got Tennessee Stud on there too, doesn't it?
It does. Tennessee Stud, the Coalition, Two-Band Coalition.
Oh, the Coalition, man.
No, I forgot about that one.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
another good one. It's hard to beat, man. I love it album. Love it.
Have any of y'all heard the Man Still album?
Yes, I have that album. Great album. Love it.
There's a song.
Which one?
Like the blues.
Man of Steel.
Oh yeah.
There's a song on there called "Now I Know How George Feels." Have you ever heard that?
Dude, that's a great one. That's I love that one.
There's a part in it where my brother swears it's Johnny Cash singing, and I say it's not. It's Hank doing an impression of Johnny Cash.
No, that is Hank doing Johnny Cash.
Yeah, that's like it. But it's a great Johnny Cash impression.
Oh,
Hank does a good Johnny Cash impression.
Yeah.
I've heard him sing Big River, and he digs deep just like Johnny Cash does.
Yeah. That Pressure On's a really good one.
Right, I love it out, man. It's definitely top 10 for me for sure.
Well, every song you made, it went to #1. Y'all was working like hell and you was having fun.
We was riding every day and playing every night, and every 20 minutes some of us had a fight.
Now, Daddy, he was making money hand over fist, and y'all was getting screwed, but you wasn't getting kissed.
Yeah, I told him to pass a little bit around, but he said he'd rather send it to his folks in Alabama.
So he fired your ass, and he fired Jerry Rivers, and he fired everybody just as hard as he could go.
Fired old Cedric, and he fired Sammy Pruitt, and he fired some people that he didn't even know.
Well, we're not gonna say much about this because #2 is Guitars Cadillacs by Dwight Yoakam.
How about that?
You guys got the same taste, man. I like Dwight, though. I like Dwight.
Dwight's one of my favorites, and the only thing I added to this is it took me, I said I've been into buying LPs. It took me a long time to track this down. I actually have the EP of Guitars Cadillacs that he released before the album, before he sold it to Warner Brothers, and they added a few more songs on it. So that's,
I was going to say, how many songs were on it?
I think it's like 6 songs. It don't have I think it has like 6 songs on it.
Well, then he released it again with a couple of other songs.
Yeah, he did like a 20th anniversary.
Daddy, Please Don't Cry, and there was another one. But he had another re-release of Guitars, Cadillacs, and had 2 more tracks after the '86 album.
Yeah, he did like a 20th anniversary and had one. But this one's on the Oak label, and it's finally found it on eBay.
Today I have nothing about sorrow. You know it's time I almost won. And if this bottle would just hold out till tomorrow, well, I know that I'd have sorrow on the run, and it won't hurt.
I'm going to throw out there my #1. That's an album that I remember as a kid, and I have listened to a million times, and it's the Honky Tonk Heroes album by Waylon Jennings.
Really? I like it, dude.
Oh, yeah. I think this one is, this is the one, if you remember, that Billy Joe Shaver wrote just about every track on.
Right, yeah.
And,
Dude, Billy Joe Shaver, what a freaking songwriter, dude. What a great songwriter, man. Dude, love the stuff he composes. Love it, dude.
I think he has some problems with Waylon with
ahead.
getting paid. I think he has some problems with Waylon while making that album, too, by getting paid
there was
or something.
apparently a lot of creative discussions going on about how the album was supposed to go. So, I mean, as the story goes, you've probably heard it multiple times. Long story short, Waylon had ran into Billy Joe Shaver. They'd been introduced, and he liked one of Billy Joe's songs, and he said, come up and sing me some of your songs. And Billy Joe shows up at the studio, and Waylon's been dodging his calls and said, no, I'm just going to forget about it, no big deal. Billy Joe Shaver said, well, you're about to get your butt whipped in front of God and everybody if you don't listen to my songs right now. And Waylon didn't let him get killed by his bodyguards there, and said, all right, well, then play me a song. If I like it, you can play me another one. And then I guess he just played 4, 5, or 6 in a row, and Waylon said, all right, we're going to do this. But if you think about it, Waylon didn't have really much control before then. Like, this was early 70s. This is why the outlaw movement started.
Yeah,
the outlaw movement started because these guys were wanting creative freedom. They wanted to play their own songs. And
Christopherson, Willie, most definitely.
Yeah.
And you get your record producer or your record companies, they wouldn't let them play what they wanted. They said, we'll produce it for you. Waylon said, I want to produce my own. And he started out by picking a bunch of songs from a no-name songwriter. Just so happened to be a pretty good one, as it turns out. But
correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Old Five and Dimers Like Me is on the album. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, when I think of that song, I think of Tom T. Hall. Now, the only reason I think of that, I guess, I listen to a lot of Tom T. Hall, but I guess
I do too.
End up covering that later. I don't know. When I think of that song, I think of Tom T. Hall, because Tom T. Hall did do that song. I'm almost 100% positive, but I don't know if he did it later or before. So.
Well, he wouldn't have done it before, I don't think, because I would have guessed that Waylon was the first one to put this one out.
Okay.
But yeah, it had the Waylon did the first version of "Ride Me Down Easy" and "Ain't No God in Mexico" and "Black Rose." I mean, there were some great songs, and not to mention the "Honky Tonk Heroes," which is
The cover,
it's got to be in the discussion of top 10 songs ever.
Right.
If you look at the country music.
Yeah, and that.
But if you get a chance, I mean, the music on it's good, the songwriting's good, and it's when Waylon was finally given a little bit of freedom to do what he wanted on an album, and man, it was just. I mean, I'm sure the people around Nashville were saying, "All right, something's about to happen here."
This guy's something. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he got that creative freedom, and they just did some really cool stuff. But even if you're just vaguely familiar with the album, put it in the background sometime, walk around, and it's going to play all the way through, and you're going to want it to play all the way through again. That's what's going to happen if you listen to the Honky Tonk Heroes album.
So I don't think I've listened to the whole album. Now that you mentioned it, I think I'll have to go back and take that one out.
Yeah, there's a song on there called Omaha that you can just. I mean, it's just great.
Talking about Nebraska.
Yeah. So, but yeah, you'll like it. I recommend it to anybody. I definitely put it. If it's not my one or two, then I don't know where I would put it. So it was the first one I wrote down when I knew we were making a list. I put it that way.
Way down deep and dirty, on the darkest side of shame, I caught a cane-cutting man and a bottle of gin with a rose of a different name.
Okay, Brent, you want to give us your number one?
Yeah.
What do you say, Brett?
This was not a hard choice for me to pick my number one album for sure. And my favorite country singer that left us too soon, in my opinion, was Keith Whitley. And his last album before he died was the "Don't Close Your Eyes" album. And he actually got to see a few number ones on that one. And this is my number one, "Don't Close Your Eyes." He had great songs on there, man. "Don't Close Your Eyes" obviously is the cover of that one. And "I'm No Stranger to Rain" was after. He actually didn't get to see that one go number one until after he died. And "When You Say Nothing at All," that's a Paul Overstreet, Don Schultz song. And "Day in the Life of a Fool." Oh, I can go on and on, man. "Birmingham Turned Around," "All Come Back to Me Now," which actually was wrote with Don Cook, Keith Whitley, and that's another good one, man. I can't express enough how great this album is to me. I love this album, man. Love it. He had a voice like no other, dude. Go down, hit a bass tone, and then come up, soprano, beyond soprano note, dude. Had range like no other, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's great. And I almost, I was looking at his albums, and I really love the Miami to Miami album.
Yeah, the LA to Miami. I actually have a autograph. I paid a pretty good amount of money for this. It's an autographed album to LA. It's his first album, LA to Miami, by Keith Whitley.
Yeah, that's it, LA to Miami.
To a station in Nashville, and I actually bought it, so I have it in my house.
Really?
Frame. Yeah, his brother. I know his brother Dwight, man. He said that's his signature. So he said that's pretty authentic. So I was like, all right, man, I'm gonna go ahead and buy it, and it was pretty big time. So it means a lot to me, man.
Now you were probably wasn't even born when he died.
No, I was born in '95. He died in '89.
Man, yeah, because that's like people like my dad's age talk about Buddy Holly dying and stuff. It's like I know where I was when I heard that Keith Whitley died.
Really, I like to hear these stories. Where was you at there?
Well, actually, I was at home.
Or something, or what?
it was '89.
Yeah, it was May of '89.
Yeah, May, and I was actually at home just hanging in my room when my dad called and said and told me, and I was like, what? And I turned on the radio, and I still got them on. I put them on YouTube one time, the old cassette tapes. Cause I always recorded the radio all day, and I threw them on there when they kept talking. They would talk about it, play a song, and talk about it. And I couldn't believe it. Because I was a fan of his.
I toured his house to where he used to live in Goodlettsville. I toured his house, all this stuff, man. Like,
you went in?
I'm a Keith Whitley freak, guys. Like people think I'm crazy back home, dude. I'm a Keith Whitley freak. I've been to his grave multiple times and this stuff like that. I go to his tribute concert. I go to Sandy Hook, where he's from. I go there at least twice a year, like for his concert and stuff, man. I'm a Keith Whitley freak. But they said if you ever listen to the song "Tell Lori I Love Her," if you listen to the last 20 seconds of it, 30 seconds of it, you can hear a toilet flush in the background. And he had a little studio in his backyard where he recorded that song, actually. And I think one of his kids, or like his adopted daughter, I think, ended up flushing the toilet during that recording of that song. So if you guys listen to the last 30 seconds of it, I promise you'll hear it.
Happy to hear that.
It's kind of eerie and weird, but
you'll
hear it.
when I went to
my favorite Keith Whitley song is definitely "I'm Over You." I like that.
Oh,
That's a
dude,
good one.
dude, most definitely. I wish I could have. I agree, Kenny. That's a great song. That whole album, it's all I Wonder You Think of Me. That's probably I'm No Stranger to the Rain describes his life in my favorite song by him. But I'm Over You is a close second, dude. Love that song. Man.
That's a good.
Yeah, I enjoyed the LA to Miami album. I mean, I was
great
album. That's a good one.
Yeah, Miami, and I'm Over You was on there, and
that's where I'm on the other hand is on the album.
Yeah.
And Nobody in His Right Mind is on the album.
Yeah.
So it was later recorded by George Strait.
Homecoming '63. How about that?
Homecoming '63 is a great one, man. Yes, sir.
When I went
Now,
to
he wrote the song "Does Fort Worth Ever Cross Your Mind?" Didn't he?
He did, and then
Did he ever put that on an album? I don't know if there's any copies of him singing it. I don't know that I've heard him sing it.
There's
But I knew he wrote it.
He didn't put it on these albums, but he did.
Okay.
There's like a demo. There's a demo on like YouTube or something you can listen to it. And he ended up doing some. He actually does. If you go on YouTube and listen, he did some great songs with J.D. Crowe and the New South. They cover some songs. He actually does Rose-Colored Glasses by John Conley. Really? Lead singer does a great job with that, man. And
Sad Songs and
Mr. Bojangles. Mr. Bojangles does a great job with that as well.
I fought with the devil, got down on his level, but I never gave in, so he gave up on me. I'm no stranger to the rain. I can spot bad weather, and I'm good at finding shelter in a downpour.
my number one's already been stolen, so.
Uh-oh.
That's Storms of Life, Randy Travis.
I knew that, Kenny. When you said that, because I know Darren's a big Randy Travis fan from what you've been talking about. I knew you stole it. I knew you did it.
And that's
okay, though, man. That's fine.
And that's the first album. Like I said, that's the first album. That's okay. I'm glad someone else had it because it's the first thing I thought of making a list. And it's just, I mean, Randy Travis at my time in that late 80s.
It's a great album, though, guys. It's a great album. I'm glad you guys picked that. That's a great album.
He was my Beatles back in the 80s. I mean, I was just crazy. And that album is my best album I've had, and every track on it's good.
Operator, please direct me.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't beat it, boys. It's good. Randy Travis. I wish I could have found an album to put Randy Travis in. What's the other one? What's the name of the album with him with Deeper in the Holler? Right? It's got him. It's got his face on the front of it. It's got a body picture of him.
Old 8x10. I think that's it.
Well, his second album was the Always and Forever, and that was a strong album.
Yeah, that's a good one too. But
which one is the one where he's on the wood pile and kind of like is that the one you guys just mentioned? Kind of, I mean, not obviously not one that's 1982 on it. There's one where he's on a wood pile.
I think that's old 8x10. Yeah, I think that's old 8x10. I'll tell a story since we already talked about Storms of Life. A story about the first time I bought it because it was one of the first. This is the first album I bought with tape. I bought with my own money. I was like I said, I talked about earlier. I went to see George Jones because Randy Travis was opening, and I remember checking the local record store probably a couple days before. Nobody had his Storms of Life record because it wasn't out yet, and it just happens. That album came out May 4th, and that concert was that same day. And I remember going to his booth where you buy the T-shirts and everything, and I saw it on tape, and his manager and wife at the time, Lib Hatcher, was running the T-shirt place. And I was like, I sure want to buy that. And she's like, it's $10. I had like $3 to my name. And I was so bummed out. And then, I was like 16, if that. And I looked down by my foot, and there was a $20 bill laying right there by my foot.
You're kidding.
And I just reached down and tied my shoe and picked that $20 bucks.
You're joking.
And no, I swear. And I slammed it down and said,
That's crazy. What a story, dude.
Yeah, and I slammed it down. I slammed it down, and I said, I'll take the cassette. And but I
You should have bought two of them.
Yeah, I should have.
What a story, man.
And
That's awesome.
and then it made me mad because I found out that while I was doing this, George Jones was singing. My sister was probably about 17 or 18. Got backstage, was hanging out with Randy Travis. Got his autograph on the back of her George Jones ticket. And it says, I hugged you, Randy Travis signed it. And I said, I could have snuck back there with you and met him. But On the Other Hand was released twice off this album. The first time it went to number 65. And then he released 1982 and it became a hit. Then he re-released. And I think this was probably about that time. Who's killing flies over there?
Killing flies.
Sound like somebody got a fly swatter.
No, I'm not. I'm just sitting still, man. Maybe Keenan.
Keenan killing flies over there.
No, it's not me. It's not me.
I don't know what to do.
My mic might be rubbing against my shirt here or something.
Okay, sound like a fly swatter.
Yeah, I agree.
But anyway, that's my number one. I'm glad somebody at least had it on the list.
That's a good one.
So send my body home on a freight train. And don't worry none that I don't go first class. Send my body home on a freight train, so everyone can see me when I pass.
Great top 10, boys. You got it. I love it, man. Great views, great here and there, dude. Love it, guys.
I know we talked a long time, but let's do this real quick. I'm gonna call out all three tens, and y'all just pick what you think is the best out of the 10.
Right.
See if we can all agree on it. Okay, on the top 10 list was Chisel and Stone, Vern Gosdin, Too Cold at Home, Mark Chestnut, and the one that I was the only one to know is Hard Times on Easy Street by David Lynn Jones. Now, if I had to pick out of those three, I'll go with Chisel and Stone.
Yeah, I agree. Let's go. I like Chisel and Stone in that one.
We got Keenan
I'm all right
agree?
with that, yeah.
Okay.
I like the boys. Can't beat him.
Okay, and then number 9, we've got Modern Country Sounds, Sturgill Simpson, Chill and Early Fall, George Strait, and Wanted, the Outlaw album.
Like, you couldn't have 3 more different albums.
Yeah, I know. That's a hard one to pick.
That's kind of hard to fix on that.
That's a hard. I'm gonna. What Keenan? What you think?
Go ahead.
I was going to ask you, which if you had to pick one.
You know, I'd hate to have a list and not have a George Strait song on it.
Yeah.
I regretted not having one
I
of my own.
was going to say Wanted, honestly. I like George Strait, dude. It's hard to decipher, one of his albums. Like you were saying earlier, Keenan. Like, it's hard to, pick one and not have the other. You know what I mean? Like, but we can go with that one, man. Sure, that's
Okay, I was thinking Wanted just because it's such a classic, but I didn't want to pick it, being I picked it. But
hey, you know what? I'm on board with Wanted too. So let's do that.
Let's do Wanted.
Let's go with Wanted.
Okay, and then number 8. Let's see. Okay, we got Home, Dixie Chick, Whiskey Been a Hellbound, Hank Jr., and Guitar Town, Steve Earle. Whew.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's tough too.
That is.
I just don't know enough Steve Earle. I just don't know enough Steve Earle to go with Steve Earle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and nothing against. I have to go with Whiskey Bent just because it's such a classic.
I gotta go with
It's got more
Even
hits.
though it's mine, I hate to pick mine.
I know, but it's got a lot of good songs on it. It's got a lot of good
It is.
tracks.
That's a good album. And there's Hank Jr.'s got a couple of options on here too. So
Okay,
Yeah, most
so
definitely.
we're all good with that, huh? We all agree.
Yes, sir.
Number 7, Storms of Life. You know which one I'm going to pick. Folsom Prison Blues Live, Johnny Cash, and Pickin' on Nashville by Kentucky Headhunters.
Go
Oh,
with Randy Travis.
yeah, I'm going to have to, even if that Folsom Prison is a.
What do you think, Keenan? I didn't get to hear you, but what do you think, man?
you know what? I would probably throw out the At Folsom Prison album because I was wanting to put that on my list anyway. Kind of left it off because you mentioned it there, Brett. I mean, I think that's one of the albums that needs to be mentioned.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm gonna put if it's okay with y'all, the Folsom Prison Live, just because it's such a.
That's fine. Go ahead and throw it on there. Hey, we got Storms of Life up there again, too.
Yeah, we can try it again there. Let's go to number 6. Let's see. This is y'all's 6. Red-Headed Stranger, Willie Nelson. I Am What I Am, George Jones, or Too Cold at Home, Mark Chestnut.
Dude, that's tough, man. That's three solid albums.
Yeah, I didn't realize how tough this was going to be.
You know, the Too Cold at Home album, Too Cold at Home showed up a couple of times, and I think
I'm
it's.
going with Red-Headed Stranger, man. I like Willie. I'm surprised I was going to put him in my top 10, and I think he needs to be in there. Let's go. I'm going with Willie. I gotta do it. Going with Willie.
What do you think, Darren?
This is your final decision, Darren.
You be the tiebreaker there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Ken, which one did you go with?
I said the Too Cold at Home album. I didn't even think about putting that one on my list, and I really do like it. It's got a lot of good stuff on it. But then again,
I had it on my.
it's hard to have a list without Willie Nelson on it. So.
But I think if you look at it, I think Willie Nelson's a bigger country music icon right now than Mark Chestnut. But that's just comparing apples and oranges. I'm just gonna go with Red-Headed Stranger.
Yeah, that is a tough one. I'm gonna go with. I won't say George Jones, but it'll be a 3-way tie. I'm gonna go with Red-Headed Stranger. Although I'm gonna say I like Mark Chestnut's better, but when you think country music, you can't have a list without that on there.
Without Willie Nelson.
Yeah, and it's a classic album, so I'm gonna go with it. Okay, number 5. Let's see what we got here. Guitar Town,
I
Steve.
had Vern Gosden. You can knock Mark
Yeah.
Brown out.
Guitar Town, Steve Earle, Chisholm and Stone, Vern Gosden, and Rope in the Wind, Garth Brooks. And we got Chisholm and Stone.
5 out. So.
Yeah, we got Chisholm and Stone already. So Garth Brooks, Rope in the Wind, or Guitar Town, and I'll have to go with Guitar Town.
I'm going with Garth. I'm sorry, boys. I just don't know enough about Steve besides talking.
No, that's okay. Now, whether you do that and just pick. What about you, Keaton? You gonna be now? You're the tiebreaker.
I can't vote. I can't vote for Garth. My friends would never forgive me. So
It's a good album.
The early is.
Okay, then we'll go with Guitar Town. Okay, number.
But you know what? To be honest, it's hard to have a list without the Garth Brooks album on it because he does it. You know, he's done a lot for the music. He promoted it a lot and had a lot of big hits. So.
Well, that Guitar Town's a good album.
I'm just not a big fan. I think Guitar Town's better.
Okay, no, I mean go what you think. Okay, number 4, High Top Mountain, Sturgill Simpson, the best of the Statler Brothers, and Old Brother While Out There soundtrack.
You know what? I like the Sturgill Simpson album a lot. I think it was a pretty gutsy move to put it in the top 4 with it, not being very well known. But I mean, it's a great album. I mean, it's just.
Boys, I don't know enough about Sturgill Simpson to vote yay or nay. So I'm just going to stick with my original Statler Brothers, boys. I mean, you break the tie here, Darren. You probably go with Sturgill, and that's fine. It ain't gonna hurt my feelings.
Well, I like that Old Brother because it's so different. I mean, really, that's what I was thinking. Because,
once again, we're at an impasse. So.
But I'm gonna say High Top Mountain just so we don't have a 3-way tie.
All right, that's fair enough.
Just so we can have some kind of master list to post.
I think, honestly, Brett, once you listen to High Top Mountain, you'll come back and say, "Oh yeah, that one should have been in the top 5."
Boys, y'all make me want to search into it.
And honestly, Old Brother While Out There, although I like it, I can't say that I can sit here and listen to this album over and over again. Although it's good,
that's fair.
And I love Jailhouse Now on there. Okay.
Jailhouse Now.
Ain't that what? Yeah, the Jailhouse Now. Okay. And
That is. You're right.
Okay, number 3, Johnny Cash Live at. Do you remember which one it was?
It was at San Quentin.
San Quentin. Okay, I didn't write what it was. Okay, Johnny Cash Live, San Quentin. Merle Haggard Live. So we got 2 live, and Old Habits by Hank Jr.
Man, I'm going with Old Habits.
Me too.
I think I'd agree with Brett on that one.
Me too. That's the only one we all agree on that one.
Yep, going with Old Habits.
That's not right. We're not supposed to all agree.
I'm sure we won't. Okay, we got this one's gonna be easy. Number 2, Guitar Towns, Dwight Yoakam. Pressure Your Own, Hank Jr. or Guitar Towns, Dwight Yoakam.
I ain't even gonna say my piece, boys. Y'all go ahead and put Dwight Yoakam on there.
I already wrote it down. Yeah.
I think I said Guitar Town, but it's not Guitar Town. Guitars, Cadillacs, etc., etc.
Guitars, Cadillacs. Yeah. We already had Guitar Town number 5.
Okay, now number 1. Honky Tonk Heroes, Waylon Jennings, Storms of Life, Randy Travis, to Don't Close Your Eyes, Keith Whitley.
Boys, we're going to beat a 3-way tie here. Let's be honest here. We're going to beat a 3-way tie here, too. This is the one that means the most to us. We're going to beat a 3-way tie here.
This is going to be a tough one here.
Yeah. It's going to be rough.
You know what? If I have to dissent from my vote, and I do love the Honky Tonk Heroes album, I'd have to go with the Storms of Life, as much as I like Keith Whitley.
Golly,
That's just a great album.
My vote don't mean a thing. That's fine, fellas.
Well, I haven't said what I'm going to pick yet.
It's like we have collusion going on here, doesn't it?
I haven't said what I'm going to pick yet. So.
That's fine, boys. Hey, I love Randy Travis, man. Nothing wrong with him.
Okay, so we'll go with here's our final top 10 list. I mean, I was going to try to break this down again, but being we're almost 2.5 hours, we're just going to do it like this. Because we try to break this top 10 in some kind of different order, I think we'll be here all night.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so number 10, Chiseled in Stone, Vern Gosden. Number 9, Wanted, The Outlaws. Number 8, Whiskey Bin and Hellbound, Hank Williams Jr. Number 7, Folsom Prison Live, Johnny Cash. Number 6, Red-Headed Stranger, Willie Nelson. Number 5, Guitar Town, Steve Earle. Number 4, High Top Mountain, Sturgill Simpson. Number 3, Habits Old and New, Hank Williams Jr. Number 2, Guitars, Cadillacs, etc., etc., Dwight Yoakam. And number 1, Randy Travis, Storms of Life. So.
And honestly, boys, if Sturgill Simpson ever takes 2 hours out of his day to stumble across our top 10, I think he's going to be pretty. Satisfied to be ranked up top 10 with these other albums. If you know what I mean.
I'm surprised that out of
think
classic.
you may get satisfied.
Yeah, out of most of it, I think most of us is not into newer country music. That we've actually got a new country album in the top five. Thank you for listening. Again, follow us on Twitter at Digging Up Podcast. And
Like us on Facebook as well.
thank you. I keep forgetting about that Facebook, and you can find all the links there. And leave us a review and a comment, and let us know what you think, so we can do more of these if we're doing good, or maybe what we're not doing so good at. This is just kind of our test first show to see how it goes. So thank you for listening.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it, guys. Appreciate it, guys.
Get us our hat. Excuse me, man. Where's the door?
What Indian reservation is this?